This is problem 88 of Neetcode 150, course schedule 2. So we're going to be given our prerequisites, and every single entries will be a list containing a tuple, so A and B. And basically B, or the second values inside the list, is going to be equal to the prerequisites of the first entry. So in this case, course B is the prerequisite of course A. We have an example here. So we have the pair 0 and 1. And basically, in order to take course 0, we have to take the course 1. So there is another problem very similar to this. It's called course schedule 1. And in this course schedule 1 problem, we basically have to return a boolean on whether or not we can take all the classes in the list. But in this case, we have to actually return a list of all the courses we have to take in order. And also, it is possible that we cannot take all the courses, in which case we have to return an empty array. So let's try to make sense out of this problem. So let's take a look at this. We can see that we have the value 2 that is pointing to 3, that is pointing to 1. And what we have to understand is that starting from 4 here, let's say that 4 is a course. Well, to take the course 4, we actually have to take the course 1. And to take the course 1, we have to take the course 3. And to take the course 3, we have to take the course 2. So to solve this problem, we're going to have to use a depth first search function. And we are going to have to call this depth first search on every single course. So let's say we initially start at 3. So at 3, what we're going to do is that we're going to go see all its prerequisites. And for this course, we're going to see that its prerequisites is 2 here. And now we're going to see that 2 itself can be taken because it has no prerequisites, and on and on. So thing that we have to keep in mind is that in order to achieve this, we're going to have to create a hash map, and we're going to have to make sure that each courses is going to be equal to a key, and each values of these keys will be equals to all its prerequisites, because it is possible that a course has more than one prerequisites. For example, could go like this. So we're going to have to keep track of this. And another thing that we're going to have to do is to keep track of a set that we're going to call visit, because if we start our second depth first search call on this 1, well, we don't necessarily want to call this again, right? So call our 3 and our 3 call our 2, because we already did it, and we know that starting from 3 we can take all these classes, and we know the order. So what we're going to do is that we're going to keep track of all the well, basically the courses or the nodes that we visited. All right. There's another thing to keep in mind. It's this. Okay. Well, what do we do in this situation? So in order to take course 1, we have to take course 3. In order to take course 3, you have to take course 2. In order to take course 2, you have to take course 1. So where do we start actually? Well, there is no entry point. So we are going to have to flag this and return an empty array. And how we're going to do that is that for each call, so if we start at 1, well, we're going to have our visit set for sure, but we also want to have our cycle set. So at 1, we're going to go see 2, which is its prerequisite. No, it's the inverse. I apologize. We're going to go see 3, because 3 is the prerequisites of 1. And we're going to see that to take 3, we're going to have to take 2. And to take 2, we're going to have to take 1. Right? So at this point, we're going to see that 1 is already in the cycle set. So it won't work. Okay? So this is how we are going to keep track of this cycle. And this way, we're going to be able to return an empty array. So there are a couple of things to keep in mind. First, using depth first search is the way to do it. Second, we're going to have to create a visit set. Third point is that we're going to have to create a cycle set to keep track of all the nodes we've already seen. Fourth point is that we're going to have to call a depth first search on every single course. And lastly, we're going to have to create a hash map with all the courses and their prerequisites. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and code this. So first I will create my hash map and I will call it prereq. And how I will build this, I will basically say that I want the index and basically a list of values for C in the range of num courses. All right. And once this is done, I will say that within prerequisites that were given, I want to take the course itself and its prerequisites, and I want to add this inside the prereq hash map I just created. And I will do so by saying for CRS, which stands for course, and pre, which stands for prerequisites, and our list here that we're gonna pass in the params of the function. So for the course and the prerequisites, I will say prereq, and I will add the key to be the course, and the value is a list, so I will append to this key the prerequisites. Cool. So now we have our hash map with all our courses and all our prerequisites. So we are ready to actually write the algorithm. To write the algorithm, we're gonna need a output array, which is gonna hold all the courses in sequence that we're up to date. And we also have to create a visit in our cycle set. Okay, so that's it. Now we can create our def first search function. And inside of def first search, we're gonna pass the current course that we are interested in. Cool. So if you remember my example, what we want to check on each check is, are we in a cycle? And we're going to do so by checking if course is in cycle. If it is true, we are going to return false because we know that we can't take these courses. All right. Another case that we want to consider is if the course is already in visit, meaning that we've already seen this this branch in another def first search call. So we're just gonna return true. All right, and if we don't return any of these values, it means that we are on a new path and we have to explore this path. So I will first start a cycle. So I'll say cycle that add, and I will add the course in it. And now I'll go through every single prerequisite of this course. And I want to call a def first search function on them. And if any of these def first search call on these prerequisites return a false, it means that I have a cycle. And in this case, I want to break and I want to return false. All right, so once we are there, it means that we went through all the prerequisites. So we've done our for loop, and we only return we either return through every time or we didn't encounter any course that was already in the cycle. So we know that this branch is safe, meaning that we can jump into another call. So we can remove our course from our cycle, and we can add to our visit set the course we just took. And also we can add this to the output list because we know we can take this course. So let's do it. And finally, at the end of this call, it means that we didn't return through it because we had a cycle. So we can return false. We can return true, pardon me. With that being said, we just completed our def first search function. And now we can actually do, well, we can call this function on every single course. So let me do it by saying and basically, if any of these def first search call returns a false, I want to return an empty array, right? Otherwise, I want to return the output that we created. All right, so this is the entire code. So as we saw in the example, we create our hash map. Then we have our def first search function. We have a set for the cycles, so we can detect any cycle, so any sequence of courses that cannot be taken. And we also have our visit set, so we don't continue a call that has already been called before. And finally, we're calling a def first search function on every single courses. And if any of them return false, it means that we can take all the courses and we return an empty array. Otherwise, we return output, which is the array we created through all our calls. So let's test this out. It works. Awesome. So I hope you learned from this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.